Hare Krishna. This evening we will be reading from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge, text 13. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mahatmanastu mam parta Devim prakritimashita Bhajantyananya manaso Hyatva bhutadim afyayam Mahatmanastu mam parta Devim prakritimashita Bhajantyananya manaso Yatva bhutadim afyayam. Please. Mahatmanastu mam parta Devim prakritimashvitaha Bhajantyananya manaso Hyatva bhutadim afyayam. It's 14? Okay, sorry. Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatanta sadrita vrata Namasyanta samam bhaktya Nitya yukta upashate. Please repeat. Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatanta sadrita vrata Namasyanta samam bhaktya Nitya yukta upashate. Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatanta sadrita vrataha Namasyanta samam bhaktya Nitya yukta upashate. Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatanta sadrita vrata Namasyanta samam bhaktya Nitya yukta upashate. Ladies, please. Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatanta sadrita vrata Namasyanta samam bhaktya Nitya yukta upashate. Word for word translation. Satatam, always. Kirtayanta, chanting. Mam, about me. Yatantaha, fully endeavoring. Charm, also. Tritavrata, with determination. Namasyanta, offering obeisances. Cha, and Mam, me, Bhaktya, in devotion, Nityayukta, perpetually engaged, Upashate, worship. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Purport. The Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, and His uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things, therefore Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahma Jyoti, is not described as a Mahatma in Bhagavad Gita. He is described in a different way in the next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod or a human being. This is the devotion, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu and Smaranam, remembering him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in any of the 5 transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily and vocal, everything in the service of the Supreme Lord. See, Krishna is called full Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. In devotional service there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi, and on the appearance day of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired success, the desired result. As described in the 2nd verse of this chapter, not only is this devotional service easy, but it can be performed in a happy mood. One does not need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. He can live this life in devotional service guided by an expert spiritual master and in any position, either as a householder or a sannyasi or a brahmachari, in any position and anywhere in the world, he can perform this devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become actually Mahatma, a great soul. Om Ajnanatimandasya Jnanjana Shanakya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Chitchaitanyamanopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiru Shiyuda Padakamanam Shigarum Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjan Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakanadita Shivishakam Vitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bando Dyatpate Kopesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhane Sutadevi Pranamama Hari Priye Vankha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sinvevascha Patinam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutali Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarani Srila Prabhupada Ki. So this is the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the heart of the Gita. That is a sequence of verses that Krishna goes from one point to another point. In verse 9, 11, in text 11, avachanti mamudam manasam tamnam ashvitam. Krishna describes those who think that he is an ordinary person. In the next verse he says they are deluded, they are everything what they want to achieve, knowledge, whatever, it will be baffled. That they are deluded by ignorance. In the next verse, Krishna described those who are becoming free from the delusion, who come out of ignorance. He called them Mahatmas. A Mahatma is someone who knows how to connect with the spiritual energy. So this is important, how to connect with the spiritual energy, but how to do it? How does a Mahatma do that? That's explained in the verse of today, that how to connect with the spiritual energy. This Satatam Kirtayantu Mam. All these verses have some related histories. That I remember that in Prabhupada Lilamrita it's mentioned that at a certain moment in America, one professor, he wrote an article in a newspaper stating that the Hare Krishna movement, they say their movement is based on Bhagavad Gita, on the chanting. But there is no mentioning of this chanting in the Gita. That was his point. Srila Prabhupada wrote him a letter, and he wrote him, "My dear professor, you must have missed this verse in Bhagavad Gita." And he quoted this verse, Satatam Kirtayantamam Yatanta Sadritana Vratam, that the devotees, they are always chanting the glories of the Lord. Satatam Kirtayantamam. You have the word Kirtan. Kirtan is also mentioned here in a broader term. kirtan. Not only the chanting of the holy names, but also the speaking and conversing about Krishna and his pastimes. Krishna will emphasize that also in the 10th chapter. Machita machata prana bodhyasva parasparam kartyan samam nityam tushanti sharamanti. So my devotees, they are speaking, conversing about me, and they are deriving great bliss from it. Thus, therefore, it is mentioned in the purport that its devotional service is executed in a happy mood. But you have this broader meaning, Sankirtan. It's not just chanting holy name, that it's everything related to Krishna. A devotee wants only to speak about things related to Krishna, things related to Krishna's mission, and that goes together with the chanting of the holy name. The chanting of the holy name, that Harinama Ikevalam, no, Kalo Nashteva Gatir Anyata, no, Harinama Ikevalam, no, Kalo Nashteva Gatir Anyata. Lord Chaitanya said, yeah, in this age of Kali, there is no other way than the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. That chanting these holy names in Kali Yuga, that also the Bhagavatam in the 12th canto mentioned there are practices for every age. That in the age of Satya Yuga, the process was meditation. In the mode of Treta Yuga, it was Jagya, sacrifice. In the age of in the age of Dwapara Yuga, it was deity worship. And in our age, the main process is the chanting of the holy name. So interesting is that all this chanting of the holy name must be combined, must be there always in Kali Yuga. Because we do deity worship, but without the chanting of the holy name, we cannot do deity worship. There are no qualified Brahmins in Kali Yuga, but still we can do deity worship if we chant the holy name of Krishna and combine it with deity worship. The combination is important. Because to get Brahman initiation, you must chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulative principles, and then you become empowered, or, well, we are qualified in some sense on the strength of the spiritual master. As an assistant, we can do the deity worship. When Srila Prabhupada was installing Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan, then the installation had to be done by local Brahmins. Because otherwise the Vrajavasis would not take it serious, the installation. So the installation was done by local Brahmins, but at the same time, the devotees were doing kirtan, chanting the holy names. It was a vibrant kirtan. And Prabhupada said, yes, this is the real installation, this is the chanting of the holy names. But this verse, especially in the purport, goes a little further also. You have this broader meaning of chanting. Because where does the holy name come from? The holy name, and Kolokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan, that's Narottam Das Thakur says it comes from Kolok, the spiritual world, Koloka Vrindavan. And we read the Bhagavatam, yes, we see Mother Yasoda is churning the yogurt and is reciting verses composed by poets about Krishna's pastimes. That Lord Krishna disappears from the rasa dance. What are the gopis do? First they become mad, but then later they chant the holy name together. And Krishna is forced to reappear. So the chanting of the holy name, speaking about Krishna's pastimes, that's what they do in Goloka Vrindavan. The subject of conversation is always about Krishna. So this is what they do. Of course, sometimes the devotee is asking this holy name, where does it come from? That it comes from Goloka Vrindavan. And it was brought to us by the Lord of Gokul, Lord Krishna, in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. He brought it to us, at least to India at that time, Bharat. And we brought it to us, Srila Prabhupada. He spread it all over the world. So it came to us from Goloka Vrindavan. But the holy name is so powerful, if you chant it in the right appropriate mood, then it will bring you back to Goloka. That's the power of the holy name. It comes from Goloka and has the power to bring you back to Goloka. But this chanting must be done in the right inner mood. An inner mood which is described by Lord Chaitanya as Trinata Peshnechana Taura Vesesnana Amanana Manadina Kirtanya Sdahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavata Vashi Sikami Mama Chamami Chamamishvare Bhavata Bhakta Ahaitaki Tvayi. One should be humble, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all prestige and give all honor to others, ready to do that. In that state of mind, one can chant the holy name constantly. And one should not want wealth, not want followers, not want relationship with the opposite sex, and even not wanting liberation, wanting to serve the Lord birth after birth. This inner mood that is described by Haridas Thakur, well, in Harinam Chintamani, which has been written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the form of a dialogue between Namacharya Haridas Thakur and Lord Chaitanya. And there, of course, it's said in Harinam Chintamani, you have 3 stages of the chanting. That you have first the apparat. We are chanting with offenses. And then when the offenses are going, we come in namabhas, anartha nivriti, the purification of the heart. And then, if the heart is purified, Sudanam, the pure name. But yes, Haridas Thakur says, one who chants in namabhas, Namabas means the stage where the heart becomes purified, that is situated in Sambandha, knowledge of his own position as a servant. Because the chanting of the holy name is a service. Rupa Goswami says the chanting of the holy name is a service rendered by the tongue. Just pronouncing Krishna's names with love, with affection, it's a service. So it's important to come in this right mood, because this Sikshastakam verse 3 and 4 that explains the mood of someone who is situated in Sambandha, knowledge of his position as a servant of Krishna. But to come to that point, we must first know who Krishna is, who we are, and what our relationship is. And that is exactly what especially the Bhagavatam explains. Therefore, it's so important every day to hear the Bhagavatam. It brings us gradually in this right mood as a servant. And then, by hearing daily Bhagavatam, gradually we overcome these offenses. Because we make offenses because we are not situated really in our position as a servant. We don't understand the value of the holy name, the value of devotees, the value of the scriptures, and we make offenses. But by hearing daily the Bhagavatam, we come gradually in this right mood. That therefore, in this verse, the Satatam Kirtayantamam, Kirtan means, in a broader sense, the glorification of the Lord. Prabhupada writes in a purport that we should use our body, minds, and words all to glorify the Supreme Lord. And of course we have the example of Ambarish Maharaj, who used his mind to think of Krishna, that's his hands to clean the temple room, and so on, his ears only to hear about Krishna, and that his legs to walk towards the temple. So that is the life in devotional service. Shall Prabhupada writes in the purport, it should be learned by an expert spiritual master, and then we can perform devotional service and become a Mahatma. So becoming a Mahatma is an inner development which is fed or which is stimulated by this hearing about Krishna. And by that we develop a service attitude, the position as a servant. So this is an important verse that it points to the essence of our practice. Of course, the chanting of the holy name is not only mentioned in this verse. In the 10th canto, in the 10th chapter, Krishna speaks about that I'm japa. It's a silent chanting of the holy name. In 11th chapter, Krishna shows the universal form, and that Arjuna prays to the Supreme Lord. He prays and said, yes, everyone who hears your holy name becomes joyful. So it's not only in this verse, there are different verses in Bhagavad Gita, and maybe Maharaj knows more verses that are related to the chanting, but yes, this is a Mahatma. A Mahatma knows how to connect with the spiritual energy, and the method is always chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord. That Hare Krishna. Any comments, Maharaj? Any comments?
What Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita is repeated by our Goswamis in their literature in different ways. Just like this particular verse, Srila Rupa Goswami writes in the Nectar of Instruction, Krishneti yaste giritam manasedriyeta dikshasti chat pranitibis chabhajantam isham shushu shaya bhajanam ananya anya indati siniridiyam isita sangalabdya. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name. One should cooperate and with the devotee who's undergone initiation and is faithfully serving the deities. And one should serve that pure unalloyed devotee who's advanced in devotional service, whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So this is corresponding to Sadatam, that anyone who's chanting Krishna's glories is under the spiritual energy to some extent, and we should mentally honor them. But when one is actually Drita Vrata and more constantly engaged in Krishna's service, with more enthusiasm, then we should cooperate with the devotee. Mm-hmm. And when one is actually completely absorbed in love for Krishna, more than we are at least, then we should faithfully serve their example and their instructions in order to come to the same level of pure devotional service as they're on.
Thank you. There's 3 levels out there. Thank you. Any other question or comment?
Before that also said Krishna Nama Charitata Sukirtananu is corresponding to the verse Mahatmanas Tumam Partha Daivim Prakriti Mashi.
Okay. Well. Yeah. Any questions? Okay, then we can end here. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai.